Hello, welcome back to a special edition of Cracking the Cryptic. Today we're going to present the second puzzle that we've done in our series of oku-yama puzzles. Now, oku-yama, for those of you who are not aware, is a Japanese puzzle setter who works for nickely.com. Now, nickely.com are, it's the most fantastic company producing pencil puzzles, and I think they're the originators of Sudoku in Japan, and obviously it became popular in the West as well. And they're famous for so-called pencil puzzles that are hand-created. So oku-yama, he lives and works in Japan, and he produces these beautiful Sudokus. Some of them aren't monstrously difficult. I don't know how difficult this one's going to be, but we're going to take a look in a minute and see how we get on. And the reason we're doing this this puzzle is that we've reached our first milestone on Patreon. So thanks very much to all of you who've supported the channel by becoming patrons on Patreon. And as we reach targets, we release another of these videos. So that's much appreciated. Now this puzzle comes from, I think it's from this book here. Let me just double check. I'm going to confuse myself. Yeah. So this is puzzle number 28 in this book, and I don't know if you can see that on the screen, but it is, I'll put a link in the chat to this book. You can buy it from Nickely. It's full of these wonderful puzzles, and as I say, this is I think this is number 28 in that book. Now, I suppose first recommendation is that you all have a go at the puzzle before you watch the solve, because these puzzles really are worth doing. And just another note as well in terms of how you might approach a pencil puzzle as opposed to, I don't know, an app puzzle that you might get on your iPhone, which has been computer generated. Indeed, all of the newspaper puzzles, as far as I'm aware anyway, are all computer generated nowadays. These puzzles are always elegant in some way. So although they might not be monstrously hard, they all have a theme. They have an intended solution path. So you're not going to have to locate some brutal Nishio forcing chain in this. It's not going to be anything like that complicated, but as I say, you can get a lot of satisfaction from these puzzles. Now, for puzzles by oku-yama, I'm going to recommend that we start with standard Snyder notation. So for those of you who don't follow the channel, what that means, or are new to the channel, we look at 3x3 blocks. If we identify that a number can only go in 2 positions in that block, and you can see that's true for the ones here, in this block, because of the 1 here, we pencil mark that in. And we'll go through the puzzle using that method of notation in order to see how far we can get. So this 5 here, again, that interacts on this block, places 5s here. And 8 as well, in fact, coming down here, we can also pencil mark 8s. In row 8 there. So that means these other numbers must be 2 and 3 in some order. And then we have a 2 here and a 2 in one of these 2 positions. So we know that the 2 in this 3x3 block has got to appear in column 7. It's got to be in one of these 3 positions, and there's a 2 there. So look at that. We find a 1-2 pair in this 3x3 block. Okay, I can't. Well, actually, we can use that, can't we? So if we now have a stare at column 7, this 5-8 is now quite powerful because we need to put a 5 and an 8 into column 7, and we know that they can't go into either of these positions because they already appear in the block. So in fact, this square here must be a 5 or an 8. So I'd be tempted. I'm going to go immediately away from my Snyder notation, but this is nice. It's such a nice find that I think we should do that, and that means these 2 squares must be 3 and 4 to complete the column. Which means that now, looking at the block, we still need to place a 6 and a 9. They must be over on this side. And there's a 9 there, look. So actually that gives us a big number. We're able to place a 9 here and place a 6 here. this 6 here means we can also pencil mark 6s into these two positions in this 3 by 3 block, and that interacts with this 6 now, and this 6 we can pencil mark 6s up there in the top middle box. 9s we can pencil mark here, just 9 here, 9 here, and 9 here. 7s, 7, 7, and this 7 here. So again, we can just carry on making our pencil marks, trying to find the next clever deduction. 1s are locked into one of these two positions by this one and this one. Can't see anything else. 9s, this 9 here and this 9 here interact on this block, look, and that forces a 9 down into the corner. Again, that gives us a load of pencil marks, so let's use the pencil marks like this. 6 again, 6s into these two positions, and 1s into those two positions as well. This one here, this one here, and this one here. I mean, we can also pencil mark 1s. So there's a 1-6 pair now in this block as well. So now we're just going to check row 7, where we still need to place 2, 3, 7, and 8. So where can we place a 7 now in row 7? You can see it's only in one position. It must go here because of this 7 and this 7. And now we need to place a 3 as well, obviously, in row 7. And there's a 3 here. So there's only one place now a 3 can go. That's in that position. The moment we place this 3, we can place the 2 as well. And that, now that gives us a 2 down here, look. Where can we now place a 2 in this block? Only in this position. 2. That means we can pencil mark some 2s. 2s there are, and there's a 2-9 pair in here as well. So we're now going to be able to complete row 8 as well. 3, 2, 3. We need 4 and 8 to complete. We can also complete this block. We need a 4 and an 8, and there's a 4 here. So this is going to be a 4. This is going to be an 8. This must be a 4 to complete the row. And we're left with 3, 5, and 8 at the bottom into these 3 squares. Now ordinarily I wouldn't pencil mark that, but because we've completed the rest of the box in a sense, I'm going to on this occasion, just to keep track of it. I'm also going to take a look now at column 8, where we need 4, 6, and 9. So this is a 4 because we already have a 6 and a 9 in the row, and that means we can place a 6 and a 9 into those 2 squares. 4, 4, 3, 3. Okay, so what can we do now? I still feel like we haven't really used all the pencil marks that we could because we've been making such brisk progress. So I'm just going to try and see if I can see anything that obviously needs including. We can do a little uniqueness trick, so why don't we do that? Let's have a look at this 3 by 3 block now and ask ourselves where a 1 can go. Now you can look at the 1 here and the 1 here, and you can say, well, there's 4 positions a 1 can go into. Let me mark those. But in fact 2 of those positions are not possible. Now the reason is that we know that any good Sudoku has one solution. And what do I mean by that? Well, I mean that if you looked at the finished solution, you wouldn't be able to transpose digits and come up with another solution to that same puzzle. Now I want us to particularly focus on this one and this cell here and this cell here. Let's imagine that we locked the 1s into these 2 positions here so that we had a 1-6 pair. Now this 1-6 pair matches this 1-6 pair in the same column. So this is a massive problem for the puzzle. If this was actually the situation, then the puzzle would have 2 solutions, because whether we put the 1 here or the 6 here, we simply transpose the digits and we'll get a second solution to the puzzle. Let me explain that a little bit better. So let's imagine this was a 1, and that if you looked at the finished solution, we saw a 1 in this square. Well, you can see immediately, if there was a 1 in this square, this would have to be a 1, this would be a 6, and this would have to be a 6. So we'd be able to look at this finished solution and see this arrangement of 1s and 6s. And the issue here is there is nothing to differentiate this solution from a solution where I just make this. I'm just going to move the 6s round the other way. So if this is the 6 instead, how is it possible to distinguish between these two situations? It's not. And the problem is that within the block here, all I've switched around is these two cells and these two cells. Within the row, nothing's changed. Within the column, nothing's changed. i.e. this 1-6 pair in effect forms its own puzzle within a puzzle, and nothing else in the puzzle interacts with these cells to distinguish which one of these possible solutions is correct. So you know this is not possible. Now what does that mean? Well, that means going back to this situation where we lock the 1s into one of 4 positions, neither of these positions is possible, because if, as I said before, if it turned out that either of these cells was a 1, the other cell would be the 6, and we would end up with the deadly pattern that's a problem. So we can remove a 1 from both of those positions. There must be a 1 in one of these two positions, therefore, and that means this cell can't contain a 1. This cell is going to have to be the 1 up there. Now, with nickely puzzles, it's very unusual for us to have to use uniqueness, so I doubt that we'll find this actually cracks the puzzle open. But it's an important technique that is worth highlighting if you haven't come across it before. So what do we need up here? We need a 3, so I can now pencil mark 3s into those two squares, and we need a 4 as well. So we end up with, okay, so there's now a 3-4 pair in row 3. So we're left with what is it? 5, 7 and 8. So, okay, so we're left with 5, 7 and 8. Okay, so here we start to get into things that are rather more beautiful. Sorry, let me just stare at this for a couple of seconds. Let's mark 2s into those two squares just while I'm looking at this. Now the square I'm looking at here is this one. So we're looking at row 3. We know that we've got this 3-4 pair in the row, so we know we need 5, 7 and 8 to complete the row. In fact, we have a 7 here as well, so this must be a 7. Let's just put that in. It doesn't change what I was thinking about. What I was noticing is that this cell has to be a 5 or an 8. Now, the reason that that's immediately interesting to me is if I look down the column, let's have a look at column 5 here. This central box is really rather interesting because we need to put the numbers 3, 5 and 8 into this box still. We haven't put any of those numbers in. And this square here can only be a 3, 5 or an 8 because there's a 4 in this square. So looking down column 5 now, there is a 3, 5, 8 triple. Now that in and of itself is interesting. So what does that mean? If we look at the column now, what can we, for example, what is it possible to put into this square? And the immediate answer is there's only one candidate, because if we know that we have 3, 5, 8 in the column, and we have 1, 2, 6, 7 and 9 in the box, this square can only be a 4. Which means we can pencil mark some 4s over on the left hand side. Okay, but this is really beautiful, isn't it? Because now let's go back to row 3 again, and this is why I love oku-yama's puzzles. So now this square can only be 5, 8 as well. So let's have a look at column 4 instead. And because of what we've just done, we've eliminated the 4 from this square as a possibility. We now have another 3, 5, 8 triple in column 4. That is gorgeous. So let's have now we can stare at column 4 and see whether or not we can make any further deductions. So that means we need 2, 4 and 9. That's annoying. I can't quite see how to... 2, 4 and 9. Can we do anything more with that? Obviously this is a 4 or a 9 and this is a 2 and a 4, but I can't quite see how to make more progress. Okay, so we have this square now is a 3, 5 or an 8 as well, so... Oh, but look, this is just beautiful, beautiful. This guy is a total genius. So now, let's have a look at row 5 instead. So now we've managed to lock the 3, 5 and 8 into these two squares. Let's study row 5, and in particular this square. So this 5, 8 was the key for me spotting this. So if we now have a look at column 9, you can see we need to place 3, 5, 8 and 7. But in this square here, this 7 matters. So this square can only be 3, 5 or 8 again. So there's a hidden 3, 5, 8 triple in row 5. Now, does that matter? Surely it's going to help. So now to complete this row, we need one, what's it going to be? 1, 2, 4, I'm losing track of it actually. We still need a 4, I think. So 1, 2, 4, 6 or 9. 1, 2, 4, 9. This square can only be a 6. That means that using the earlier pencil marks, 6 here, 6 here, this must be a 6, this must be a 9. Now this 9 here means we can unwind the earlier pencil mark into that position. We still need 1, 2 and 4 along this row. This 6 though, this 6 is massive because it's going... So yeah, it looks like we might just have finished the puzzle, I think, because 6, 4 and 3 is unwound by the presence of this 6. And what else can we get from that? That gives us a 4 here and a 1 here, unwinding the earlier pencil marks. This 4, well, this 1 in fact interacts with the 1 and the 2 over on this side, like that. That means this must be a 2. Now we've got 2 columns here that we can complete just by filling in the missing digits. So this must be a 3, and this must be a 5, I think. Remove the 3 from this square. This has got to be 7 and 8 in some order. 7, 8, 7, oops, 7, 8. 5, 7, 8 there. Okay, so, and this 4 here now as well, that means we can unwind this. That must be 4 and 3 in that order. And it feels to me like we're very close to finishing the puzzle. This 5 here means this must be an 8 now, and this is a 5, and this is an 8. We need 3, 5 and 7 down here, so this 8 interacts over here. Yeah, I think it's now solved, isn't it? 3, 5, 7 like that. This must be a 5. Let's remove the 5 from these two squares. But I hope you agree with me that the thing that's beautiful about Japanese pencil puzzles is that the way they set up the way the solve's meant to work. And you know, you could see it there. You could see the solver's thought process. He wanted us to find the 3, 5, 8 triple in column 5, and he wanted us to then notice that led to a 3, 5, 8 triple in column 4, which led to a 3, 5, 8 triple in row 5. I'm certain that that's what was intended, and it's it's just such a pleasure to find these things. You don't get them in computer-generated puzzles unless there's a tremendous accident. Oops, no, it's not 4, it's a 1. Come on, 1, thank you. 6. That's a 6, therefore all I'm doing here is unwinding pencil marks, which is the beauty of this method of notation. It really does allow you to make very swift progress if you get good at using this technique. So now we need a 3 here, an 8 here, an 8 here, and a 5 here. So there you go. That's how to solve this beautiful oku-yama puzzle. Really recommend the books. I'll put the link in the chat so that if you want to buy them, they're only a couple of pounds. I mean, the shipping can be about the same again, but I can't recommend them highly enough. Nickly.com is just a fantastic thing. So yeah, if you enjoy the channel, please subscribe. We appreciate that. Thank you so much to our patrons for hitting the target and allowing us to make this video. And we'll be back soon with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.